Everyone, this is part 2 where I continued on my mom, where there's a part where I had his eye surgery. I was supposed to come back the next day, and if you didn't watch part 1, it's about my, I don't know what I'm going to title it. It's going to be about my mom. What will I title it? My mom breaks her hip. I think that's what I'll title it. Hopefully I remember that. So this is part 2. So we're way past the hip part by now. But anyhow, I had to have emergency eye surgery or I'd lose my sight. I ended it where after it was laser surgery. After they did it, I was totally blind and that eye couldn't see. And I panicked. I said, "Oh my gosh, I can't see." So, "Oh yeah, that's normal." Well, I kind of wish he would have told me because I really was scared. So I was supposed to come back the next day. I went home in so much pain. It was horrible. I got hurt. I used to work at I was a suicide counselor in the psychiatric emergency long ago, and I got attacked by a patient, and I had abrasions to my corneas, which really hurts bad because the patient went through bulletproof, or so it was supposed to be, glass, which it wasn't, and I got glass in my eyes. But anyhow, that was the worst pain. I thought, no, this surgery was awful. So I called. I said, "I can't come in. I have to heal first. Plus, I got my mom in the nursing home, hospital, back and forth." So long story short, when I went back 2 weeks later, the doctor said I'm lucky that I didn't go blind because I really should have came in the next day. So I was lucky. So anyhow, my mom was in and out of the hospital that last year. It was 2011. She was on, every time she got in, they had to put her on a, life support and all. And I took a video of her because she wanted full code. And I made sure I told her I would keep her wishes. And she was there so much. So I took a video of her on, with a tube breathing for her. And they had mittens on her hands because, when they give her the medicine and the medicine wears off, she would try to pull the tube out. And I said, "Is this what you still want?" She said, "Yes." And so she was just amazing. She fought to the bitter end. So at this point, she wasn't able to talk. They gave her a letter board, and you could see it was frustrating for her. She was trying to talk. I brought up my kids all the time up to the hospital. My kids, older kids came. Everyone came. And nursing home, and we were there all the time. And when I got to go out to go dancing, I would stop before. And then I kissed up to the nurses in the nursing home, so they let me in through the back door at night after dancing, so I'd check on her then. I was there every day. So it was 2011, and it was her birthday, was October 5th. So it was her 85th birthday, and I wanted to make her a surprise party. Well, in a nursing home, it's a lot of work, a lot of paperwork, a lot of red tape. But I got all that done. Got a hold of her friends. I said it's a surprise. I got a hold of some of my kids, older ones, hoping they could help me with food, but they were busy with their own lives. The one son was going to make sauerkraut. We make homemade sauerkraut, which, talking about now, I'll never be able to eat sauerkraut anymore. I don't even know why I threw that in there. I guess because I'm so hungry, I just want to eat real food. But anyhow, he was supposed to make sauerkraut. What he did was he just took a can of sauerkraut, several cans, and put it in a food tray warmer. I could have made the sauerkraut. I did everything else. I got everything ready. So we came, we just said we were coming up to see her. We went up to see her. And one of my sons pushed her in they have these chairs. If anyone's had a baby, it's the same kind of chair where your husband, partner, spouse, boyfriend, whatever you got, sits in and can sleep in one of those chairs. So she was pushed there, and we were walking in front of her, and she didn't know anything was going on. She had no clue. And when she got in the room, everyone said surprise, and she started crying and crying. And, "Oh, Sandra, you shouldn't have done this. Why did you do this? You shouldn't spend the money." And I started to cry, and everyone had tears in their eyes, and I had all these flowers. I had tons of flowers I bought. She loved flowers, and we had a beautiful party, and I'm so glad I had that party for her 85th birthday, because little did I know that the next month she would die. There was no sign of it. She was doing well. They had the feeding tube the way it should be. Everything was good. She was going, she loved bingo. She always went to bingo. It was 2 or 3 times a week, and they would wheel her down to bingo. And she couldn't talk, but she put her hand up, and we went to see her. When she was first eating there, she had to go in a special room where they supposedly watched the meeting, but they didn't. So I went there to watch her, and my daughter went in and played the violin for her and everyone else who was there. And so I was always there at times when she ate, so I could watch to make sure she was okay. Which the money they take out of Medicaid is outrageous, and they didn't watch her. But that's okay. I did. I took Polly with me all the time. We were always there. Took his, later on, took his, whatever school books he needed. I started teaching him very young, my kids. They all started learning early at home. But anyhow, so she was overcome by, the party. This candle, I don't know, I can't get the camera straight. So anyhow, continued to go over all the time, and the kids, the older kids, obviously they had jobs. One's a nurse, one's a PA. So they didn't have a lot of time. I mean, they would stop in. My youngest from my first marriage was very close to her. I remember once they called, she was in the hospital, and we went to see her, and he wanted to come. He always came with me. He was the younger one, so he was living here with me in the house. In the house we always lived in, but I had remarried, and we had 3 kids. So he always came, and we went, and she was in isolation because they didn't know what was wrong with her. So we had to have gowns and gloves and goggles and everything. And he went to put it on, and he saw her, and he just broke down. It was awful. Oh my gosh, it was awful. And then he came back after quite a while. He couldn't. I said, "You don't have to come in. It's okay." And then my mom started saying, "Could we go back to that movie that we saw last night?" And I'm like, "What?" Her mind was sharp as a knife. And she was talking about a movie that we never went to. And I started getting really upset. Now my son again broke down like, "What's happening to Grandma?" And so I went and called a nurse. He said, "No, that's right." He said, "He'll get the nurse." And then she came in. She said, "Well, it turned out my mom had a UTI. And when older people get a UTI, they get confused." So she was confused. I don't know why she would be confused about a movie, because she never went out. Like, her and her husband never went out to the movies. The only movies she saw is, I remember we went to see The Jungle Book, like kids' movies, and then we didn't go often because I grew up poor. But why would she say a movie? I don't know. But anyhow, so he always came with me, and to see him fall apart was terrible. I to this day, I think he still remembers that day in the hospital. So anyhow, I don't take notes as I should. But anyhow, we again, she got back to the nursing home. Everything was going fine. And so her birthday was October 5th, and then was coming Halloween, which, by the way, I do not like Halloween, because on our street, over the years where we live, people don't, 1 second, I gotta take some water. People don't have their lights on anymore, so we would have to drive, like, to the kids' godparents or my friend's house, and that's why I don't like Halloween, because it's always raining. It snowed one Halloween, and it's in and out of the car seats, kids, boots, snowsuits, whatever it was, in and out. Trick-or-treating is not for me. I dread it. But anyhow, the nursing home had my cell phone number. So it was Halloween, or no, the day before Halloween. Or maybe it was Halloween. I don't know. One or the other. It doesn't matter. I was out with the kids somewhere at the grocery store as trick-or-treating, so I took them there. I get home, and there's a voicemail on my landline, so I get the message. It was a nursing home. Right away I got nervous, because like, why didn't they call me before I even heard the message, they says, "Oh, your mom wanted us to call you to bring the kids over in their costumes. They're having a special kind of thing here." And it was at 3 o'clock. Are you kidding? They had my cell phone and they didn't call me on my cell phone. They called my landline. They called my cell phone every other time. I don't know why they didn't call. I felt so bad. She wanted to show off her grandkids. So this was either October 30th or 31st. So we're going to, like I said, we saw her all the time. We were going to see her in November. I believe it was November 9th or 10th. I can't remember. Beginning of November. So we're going to go. And at this point, my mom couldn't talk at all. She couldn't talk. She was making a sound. But the Parkinson's, really, it's a horrible disease because your mind is there. She knew everything was going on, but her body was failing her. Walking, her talking, her swallowing, everything was just not working, and she knew it. It must be awful, like you're trapped inside this body that isn't working. So we're gonna go see her, and I thought, I don't know what I was just gonna say. I thought that's not what I was gonna say. We were gonna go see her. The kids were off that day for some reason. I don't know. It was Columbus Day? Maybe it was. I don't know. They were off for some reason from school, so we were gonna go see her earlier rather than after school. And all of a sudden, I had an attack of irritable bowel. And when I get that, and it was probably from all the stress of everything that was going on from when she was, everything was going on with her, and then I almost lost my sight, and then my uncle was in the hospital, and all this, everything, it just finally got to me. So when that happens, I have to take a green pill, and I gotta wait 20 minutes, and then I could go about my whatever I'm doing. So I was going to call her and tell her, we're going to be a little late, but I thought, it's so hard for her. She can't always reach the phone. If there's no one there, she can't get it. If she can get it, it's very frustrating for her because she can't talk. Usually she'll listen, but she wants to talk, but the sounds that she was making were not understandable. I thought, you know what? Just 20 minutes later, we're going to be there. The kids were all ready. I just had to take this pill and wait till it took effect because when IBS hits me, it's terrible. But anyhow, so we were all ready to go and everything, and 20 minutes had gone by, so I was like, okay, let's go. I had the three little ones here from my second marriage, and my youngest from my whatever, from my first marriage, and we were gonna go, and so I thought, I'm not gonna call her, just go. It will just take too long. She'll be upset, that she couldn't talk or couldn't get the phone, so I didn't want to upset her. So we're getting ready to go out the door, 3 kids, 4 kids, whatever, everything, till we get everything, and we always brought her something, usually a stuffed animal or something. And the phone rings, and I thought, oh, I don't want to answer it, and I don't know, something told me to answer it. I answered the phone, and they said, this is whoever, some nurse. I'm sorry to tell you, your mom just passed away. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. So as you see, the black cloud that I have over my head now with my dental dilemma, that black cloud comes and visits me quite often. We were on our way to see her. She died. How could this be? I know people die, but why did she die before we got there? I couldn't understand it. So I must have called someone to be with the kids. I don't know. I didn't have a sitter. My kids never had a sitter. The only time they had a sitter when I had my heart problem diagnosed. It actually was the doctor's younger sister because I told her I had no sitter. But I must have called a friend. I don't know. So I went, of course, with my youngest son from my first marriage. We went. They'd already called my other kids. I don't know why they called them before me. I was proxy, healthcare proxy. It didn't matter. So I got there, and so I just remember I came in, I just started to scream and yell and cry, and oh my God, I couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable. I just was terrible, and I remember my kids came and they were all hugging me, and It was surreal. I couldn't believe she was gone. She was just laying there, dead. It was awful. It was terrible. I still remember like it was yesterday. And the first thing that came to my mind is how mad I was that the nurses didn't call my cell phone, how she wanted to show off her grandchildren. And that will haunt me forever. There's nothing I could do. I don't know why they didn't call me. So the kids, stayed for a while, and then they, had to go to work, some of them, and my youngest from my first marriage wanted to stay, and I said no. I said it's okay. There's nothing to do. So my other sons talked him into leaving. He didn't want to leave, but he left. I didn't think it was good for him to stay there. So I called the church and I asked for a priest. I said my mom died. Had to wait a long time, and they called the funeral home. And the priest finally got there. He said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, there's traffic." I said, "No, it's okay. She had already passed away." He was very old, and he didn't understand me. He thought that, I wanted to give him to give the final blessing before she died, but, he didn't understand, so I just, whatever, he did what he did, and that was that. And then, so I was going to wait for the funeral home to come to take my mom. And I felt so bad that I sat at my dad's bedside for 12 hours, and he wasn't a good dad to me, but he was my dad. And here, my aunt mom, who raised me, had to die alone. I felt so guilty. I felt so guilty that I had IBS. Why did this have to happen this day? I couldn't understand it. So I was with her for, it seemed like forever, talking to her, telling her to wake up, that this can't be, she can't be dead. I need her. The kids need her. We want to come visit her. Don't be dead. Oh, it was terrible. And they had this person, I guess it's an ambassador person who's a resident there, who came to talk to me, and, talking about God stuff. And no, I didn't want to hear it. I just didn't want to hear it. I said, please, thank you, but no thank you. And so then, the worst part happened. The funeral home comes. And so I said, what's going to happen? They said, oh, we're just going to, put her on a stretcher like, when she goes to the hospital. So, okay. I figure, okay, I'll stay there till, she goes. So I stayed there, but they failed to tell me they were going to put her in a body bag. So that's the last memory I have of my mom, zipping her up in a body bag. I cannot believe that the nursing home didn't tell me, because they told me, they called the funeral home. Why would they not tell me? Because the last two things on my mind are, I couldn't get the kids up for Halloween because they didn't call my cell phone, and I had to see her be zipped up in a body bag. I think that's the cruelest thing. So just to note to yourselves, if you're ever staying with your loved one and the funeral home comes, don't put yourself through that. Don't. So it was horrible. I felt such guilt that she had to die alone, and she took me in. If she didn't, I would have been in a foster home and who knows what. But it was really hard for all my kids. We were sitting there in the chapel, and oh yeah, we had to go. She had no money. She had no plot. She had nothing. We had to go. My older son went with me, and we had to go into a room full of caskets. It was the most god-awful thing I had to live through, to pick caskets. And they're, they do this as a business, so it's like this or this. I don't even know how I did it. I don't know. Thank God for my son. It wasn't the younger son. He could have never gone through that. But it was terrible. They just talk about it nonchalant, because obviously they deal with it every day. And all I was doing was crying. It was surreal. It's like, she can't be dead. I can't even believe this. And my son was very good. He, paid for most of it and said whatever I wanted, whatever, anything. And it was horrible. It was just horrible. But that's my story of the deaths I had to deal with. And then, of course, my cousin died. But Andrea's video moved me to put these out there for you to, just to share my life, just to share that black cloud did visit me, and continues to visit me. So We all have to deal with this. I hope this can help you. If you have to go through this someday with your loved ones, I hope you don't for a long time. But listening to Andrea's video really helped me a lot. So, I'm sorry if this bothered anybody that I talked about death, but it is what it is. So, thank you if you got this far. Don't forget to subscribe. Thumbs up sounds weird to like this. I don't know. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Sharing is caring. Don't forget to pay it forward. Feels good in your heart. Polly's heart and my heart. So for now, thank you so much if you got this far. Bye, everyone.